We welcome you back here to the Pluto Cup. It's Labosco and Gunther getting ready for game number 2. We've got the W Train versus Trying to Have Fun. And Gunther, I mean, we had a wild first game. We get to go to Busan, which is one of my favorite maps in the entire game, which I think brings almost as much versatility as we have when we go to a map like Lijiang.
Yeah, if you look at something like Lijiang, you see a lot of similarities with Busan. You see, the wide open spaces where dive comps might be really strong.
Mhm.
You see, the close range areas like Mecha Base where often see like brawl teams just slamming into each other head first. And you see sometimes the bunker comps come out on Sanctuary. I was just trying to say Bongo for a second, but it's Sanctuary.
I like that though.
Yeah, but it's a lot of things that you like about Lijiang, just with a couple less boop spots. But it's always exciting to see someone get smacked into the train on City Center. That's the real good stuff.
Like the most famous like clip I think I'm in for like on like the contenders when it was on Twitch was like two pharmacies on either side. Both of the Farahs died to the train. And
Oh,
then the title was a bait title where it said train takes out 2 players on either team. And people were like, train, because there was the Overwatch player train. Everyone's like,
yeah.
train's coming back. So it was a double bait on that. And then there was 2 mercies fighting. It was just one of the funniest things ever. And people thought it was actually train coming back. So they were sad when they saw it wasn't. But Busan is still a fun map. I've never seen that movie either, Last Train to Busan or whatever it's called. When you look here, what as far as Busan is concerned, which map is the one that you want to see more than the other 3? Because like for me, like I really like downtown. Like I think that one's the best one.
Yeah, downtown is phenomenal, but I really love Mecha Base just because
Really?
there's so many difficult high grounds to play around. And
Hmm.
these long rotations through open sight lines, you have to really carefully manage your resources if you're getting poked by the enemy team while doing it. And it's a strong test of skill, I feel like Mecha Base is. There's so many places to maybe ambush from. There's a lot of scouting you have to do. It's a very difficult map to play and a difficult map to retake, and I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Well,
But it looks like we're starting on Sanctuary.
I was gonna say the 2 maps we talked about, the one that I like and the one that you like, we don't get either of them. So that's just perfect caster cursing and everything. And now we get to see, which is still a pretty map. Sanctuary is still great. Like
Yeah,
it's a nice map. So like yeah, sure, it's good. It's
it's
good.
fine.
It's fine.
It's no Mecha Base. It's no downtown, but yeah, it's fine, I guess.
Smallest point in the game because of the giant bongo drum, as you said.
Oh yeah, it is the smallest point in the game. That I didn't think about that.
Yes, very very tiny is because of that. So not a lot of room for these teams to work and compositionally, I don't know if Jelly Doe's actually coming out on Bastions. We're not even going to concern ourselves with that. But Genji Tracer in a dive composition, I'm all for that.
Yeah, it's a very strong committal backline versus what seems to be, a much more bunker comp. And the closer we get, maybe Jelly Doe is running it, and that changes a lot of things. But what you're gonna see is a lot of bunkering from the Risk Sig, and you're gonna see, a lot of trying to poke at angles and look for a real dive. And I think they're sticking the Bastion.
It hasn't switched yet. Zeph has switched to the Sombra though, so we get the hacks that are going to be coming out at the very least. And yep, that Bastion is happening from Trying to Have Fun, and slamming in right at the beginning is Wi-Fi, and now the dive afterwards, and Jelly Doe is already gone and out of the fight, and this is not going to be the best start from Trying to Have Fun.
Yeah, a really strong dive coming out from the W train, and it's just a late lamp from Reynos. Happens to the best of us. I played. Yeah, I've had 4,500 on BAP, and I have late lamps. But Jelly Doe swaps over to the Reaper, just really trying to counter the dive here. And Soytab swaps over to the Hog. It's all counter dive now. They got 3 shotguns, and they're going to use all of them on that wrecking ball.
Already working to effect too, because Wi-Fi has already been set back to spawn. They go over to that high ground area where there's that drum that you can now walk down from towards those players that are on the point. Zeph on the flank, shooting into get that EMP as quick as possible. Has a Brigitte in their face. Hey, George, able to hit, though, with that pulse bomb. So advantage going back over to the team on the point in the W train, and Squid on the base as well, making this look very good.
Yeah, what you're seeing right now is what should have happened, or what could have happened is, you know, W Train could have been poking a lot on the walk-up of trying to have fun, but maybe they realized that trying to have fun doesn't have support ult. So maybe if we poke on their walk-up, they'll have things. And, you know, maybe they would have had a rally that turned that fight, but W Train really just playing it safe, waiting till the fight on point, and it still looks like trying to have fun are going to be able to set up here, but there's a lot more tools to work with on both sides.
Yeah, we'll probably just call them have fun, because that's what they're trying to do. Have fun, though not having fun right now is the only problem, as Squid on the base is just dashing through them and continuing to cause havoc with the rest of the W train.
Yeah, he used the blade to fight before, and coming back now, there's a lot of ults from both sides. Still, this is gonna be a hard retake. They don't, okay. And Have Fun swaps to the ball. They feel like they need to touch here, even if they have a Sombra in position. They want to be sure. This is all going to depend upon Zeph's CMP, as you're watching right here. Comes out without a hitch.
Manages to get a few, but it's still got to have that follow-up too. Have Jelly Dough available for the Death Blossom 2 comes in. Multiple players in, only one going down. Starting to take it back, though, is Have Fun. Hey, it's George getting that nano boost, but in the meantime, Squid on the base just slicing through everybody in the back line. Gets himself taken out, but the W train still in a position here to take this fight with their 3 tanks and their Tracer.
Yeah, and normally Rally is such a strong counter to EMP, but it looked like Have Fun just wasn't able to capitalize on you know, the lack of cooldowns, and Wi-Fi goes down to Jelly Dough.
Yeah, he teleported on top onto the drum to keep this going. So now there's actually a chance for Have Fun to take this point. They do it.
They take it back, and they're on the opposite comp of where they started. The teams have reversed. Now it looks like W Train is playing more of a brawl or bunker style comp, and Have Fun is on the dive.
That's wild. I can't believe that they've switched this much, and now they're going to meet somewhere on the high ground. It looks like, and maybe try and force players there with the Tracer, and now Squid on the bit. Squid T-Bass. I need to say that right. I don't know if it's Squid on the base. I keep wanting to say Squid on the base,
hey,
but
he's a Squid man. He doesn't understand English. You can say what you want.
We're gonna just shorten it to Squid to make it easier on my own mind. Vitamin D, though, in the meantime, is able to get the entry elimination for W Train to move towards the point, and Zeph is going to fall here too. So you're now seeing this swing back over to the W Train, this dive composition, or sorry, this sort of rush style composition they've switched to, starting to work.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, a character like Tracer is sometimes better than Reaper to deal with the dive. You know, she can off-angle, she can poke out supports, and force a lot of resources that won't be going into the full commit dive, like with the Lucio and the ball. And because of that, W Train was just able to, you know, isolate those tanks, deal a lot of damage to the backline, and retake this point, not necessarily easily, but decisively. You know?
Yes, and now you just use everything you have at your disposal to just try and get something if you're trying to have fun. And unfortunately for them, this is not going their way. Just have to deal with the ball. They get the hack onto the Wrecking Ball. It will allow for a few more stragglers to come back, but that's all they're going to do is struggle on the point and eventually lose this out to W Train in full control. And there comes a little bit more of another stall.
Yeah, just cleaning up the stragglers. The biggest part of what we saw there is that in the neutral fight, meaning when both teams don't really have ults, you know, that counter dive was so much stronger than the dive we saw coming out from Have Fun. It really feels like they were able to absorb the dive, you know, poke out the supports, and just win that longer fight, because without ultimates to really even the playing field, W Train could just eat all the damage and come back stronger because of it.
Yeah, they just ate everything. They were, you know, they thought it was Thanksgiving dinner and everything was just for them. That's basically how it seemed like they felt there at the end. And now they're going to show us something a little bit different again. They're going to come out with the Sombra and the McCree.
Yeah, both teams on with Ryan as your main tank comp. So that's both teams looking to go aggressive, but Have Fun really has a bit more of spam DPS, whereas W Train has some pretty aggressive DPS, and they're going aggressive.
They're very aggressive, making sure to get that hack onto the back line too. Squid building up a lot of ult charge too. In the meantime, the front line just going to town on those players that are left. Hey George really has been a very good player too for this team in W Train.
Yeah, it feels like Hey George, maybe, you know, Squid has been doing a lot on the Genji earlier, but George has been putting out constant, consistent damage, which sometimes is the best you can ask from a DPS.
And now you've got players coming back in really quickly, though, for trying to have fun. And they've created an advantage. They've got themselves Jelly Dough and close to that ultimate already, too. As they move on to the point, they'll be able to take this right back.
Yeah, Shatter got canceled there, which is huge. That could have swung the fight. And now that Have Fun are taking control at this point, well, maybe they're not, but looks like they're going to take control of this. High Noon coming out on the high ground has everybody locked, but doesn't shoot anything.
Didn't take it. I was surprised he didn't shoot it off, but doesn't matter. Still taking care of this on the high ground. But now the Moira Coalescence committed in to keep the high charge Zarya up. Anti-nade on, though. Won't allow for that Zarya to stay. This is just a matter of time, it looks like, for W Train to win, but both players just have teammates coming out of the point.
Yeah, with point control, Have Fun has an incredibly strong comp that can deal with the push of W Train, but they weren't able to stabilize, they weren't able to get all of their spawns back together, and they can't keep control of that. And it looks like they're trying to still force this. They've taken control of that first doorway, which is always an awful choke to break, but still, this looks hard.
It looks very difficult, especially with the hack coming out onto everyone who got caught in the Gravitic Flux. They can't do anything just in time to get the Shatter, but so many players are falling, it doesn't matter. You use the ult, you don't get the value out of it for trying to have fun, but they're not making this easy on the W Train to make sure that they win this clean.
Yeah, Wi-Fi eats the grab, but still, you see Reyna, she's just hitting the backline down.
They're still going in too.
They're
they
still
just
taking
use Molten Core. This is crazy. They're now able to take this. We've had like one continuous fight the entire time.
Yeah, this has been a massive game of tug of war. Both teams just pulling with everything they have, but it's still locked in the center. You know, percentage is pretty even here. Ults are pretty even here. This is really going to be about how Reynas wants to use Cole and go aggro versus how W Train is able to respond.
So Reynas going to use that pretty aggressively. He uses it almost immediately, but Levi is able to get through the choke and now doesn't get a lot of value out of the nano, but able to at least get through and allow for the rest of W Train to try and get in position. Missed the shot on the High Noon, but the Accretion Rock doesn't miss at all. And now Levi's just looking for players to swing that hammer at. Looking at that turret too. W Train having problems finishing the fight.
Yeah, and early on, it seemed like Have Fun got split. You know, the teams got cut off on both sides, but W Train, as they were pushing in, it felt like Fez was pinching that and, you know, shattering the backline, getting a charge off, and being able to maybe even up this fight. But still, it's going in the way of W Train just through staying stacked.
Trying to have fun doesn't want to stop fighting. They just want to keep playing, but it's not working for them. Like, the percentages are pretty even, but they use a grab. When they're down so many players, they get nothing for it, and now they have to back away.
Yeah, that was a winnable fight, but a very difficult winnable fight. What I feel like I could have called there if I was in this game is, you know, resetting, getting 6 back, and being able to retake with that grab.
And now they're at 92% for W Train, about to take a 2-0 lead unless they can win this somehow for trying to have fun. But they've already lost so many important players. The Coalescence in desperation gets canceled by the Accretion Rock, and Wi-Fi can just walk in, throw those Hyperspheres, eat the Molten Core, and now have a ton of shielding to make sure that they stay up, but they lose Vitamin D for W Train, and now they give up the point too. They're coming back in for trying to have fun and swinging it.
The sustain from that rally and that Coalescence just kept them together. Oh, and Jelly Dough gets the hammer kill on Wi-Fi. Lord have mercy. You didn't need to do that to him. You didn't need to hurt him like that. And the Ashe is desperately trying to contest, which that's not who you want going to point first.
Definitely not. Can't even get there. Now we're even 1-1. A 99 to 100 fight that we have. that was like a fight and a half only because of how long the fights went on for. I still can't believe trying to have fun. They just keep throwing themselves at the point and they got it.
Hey, it's like when people talked about the old Vancouver Titans during, the 3-3 goats meta, why were they so strong? And I'll give you the answer. It's that they never gave up. They always kept going. They would ult when they're 3 down, and they would win those fights. So, maybe they're a little confused here on have fun, but they got the spirit.
They definitely do. And they've got to pause now to collect themselves because like I'm stressed after watching that mecha base happen. I can't imagine how the teams feel, being that the fact that it went the way that it did. I mean, for W Train, it feels like they're like on paper they're probably the stronger team, but they don't ever clean up their fights to get that quick fight win to then just have the point and build that percentage.
Yeah, it feels like it comes down to an issue of target focus. When your team is able to group together and just Death Star laser beam onto every single target, you win all those fights.
And it's focus is so hard.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's hard to call those targets sometimes. And both teams coming out on dive comps here, but it really feels like WK is just more aggressive.
And the aggressiveness is paying off. We're seeing the Tracer again from Hayes George, which was something that we saw be very effective last time, and Squid playing on the Genji too, allowing them to get this fight pretty early on.
Yeah, both teams have an incredibly aggressive tank line. Neither of the teams are running D.Va, so all those offensive cooldowns like nades, nothing's going to block those. There's going to be nothing to deal with the McCree. You're just going to have to tank that with raw damage, or you're going to have to kill him.
So far, the team winning out on that is W Train. They do end up losing Vitamin D, so they lose a lot of that healing that comes out, forcing away the Sombra. Now looking towards the McCree is George, able to stay alive for the moment. Eventually goes down, but on the point, everybody for W Train is losing in that battle, and there's another coalescence coming out. Ramus builds these so fast.
Yeah, it feels like I'm sometimes seeing 2 or 3 a fight, and the rally comes out from McCree. They're going to stay alive here. That rally armor keeps you up against dive so easily, and the rally gets canceled on Vitamine.
So they don't even have the rally for Vitamin, so they are down behind for W Train. They get 38%, but at what cost?
Cost is painful canceled rally and not a lot of charge to the Primal, but there's a Nanoblade coming up here for WK. If they can really execute on this properly, and they can stop the Sombra hack, the most important part is stopping that Sombra hack, they're going to clean this up.
Well, there comes the Nano Boost on to Squid. Wasn't able to get his dash onto anyone, though. No value from that ultimate at all, and a ton of value coming out from the mines on the other side. George just blinks into one, too, and Wi-Fi just can't even get to the train to try and kill himself.
Yeah, that very much felt like, okay, our combo didn't work. Let's reset and go next fight. That's so upsetting to see that dash get stopped by that one small pole in the middle.
It's so funny when that happens, too. Now you have on the high ground, too, the Winstons kind of just poke out at each other. Now kind of backing off, but the EMP will be what really gets this fight going, and it ends up being too much to stick, but able to get away thanks to the translocator, and this is all trying to have fun.
Yeah, trying to have fun here, just, they absorbed that early jump from the Monkey and from the D.Va, and they re-engaged with the EMP, and it was just clean up from there. If you watched there, Jellydo did something really cool, where he got stuck by the Pulse Bomb, but when using Translocator, he's ethereal for a bit, just a split second, and the Pulse Bomb drops out of him onto the ground as he teleports back.
Good thing no one was where that bomb was, too, but able to save yourself that way is always really awesome to see, and good reaction timing. Now you have to try and react to a Jedi, and they can't do anything to stop it. Zeph gets the double kill and gets healed up by the rally, and they are fully controlling now for trying to have fun. No long fights either, and now they take a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, something we saw on the first map of Sanctuary that feels like it was maybe mirrored in the opposite way here, is that Have Fun stuck on their dive comp and they had a lot of strong ults, whereas WK swapped to more of a bunker comp to maybe absorb this dive, but either they weren't able to properly absorb it with maybe a Brig instead of a Moira, or it was just that Have Fun were able to really even that up with the ults, like the Coalescence, that EMP we saw.
Big EMP.
Huge from Jelly Dough there.
And it looks like they're going to kind of basically stay with the same thing. Like, they're not really changing anything on the side of trying to have fun. It's working here. They have forced a switch, though, from the W train. They're going with the Ashe and the Reaper now.
Yeah, they know that Have Fun has been trying to run these fully committal dives, you know, just really in your face, really aggressive. So they say, hey, if you want to jump at me, I will shoot you. If you're real close, then I'll just shoot you. And that's okay sometimes.
Yeah, anti-dive into an anti-dive style comp into a dive style comp usually favors the anti-dive team. And so far, so good. You've already gotten out the wrecking ball for Have Fun, and now the W train can push W onto the point and take advantage of what they've already created for themselves.
Yeah, both tanks get picked, and now it's just clean up from W train. That was almost really bad for W train there, but because, you know, sorry. There was a setup on point before W Train was able to rotate over and really, you know, bunker down and get their stuff together. But, you know, Soytab gets, you know, destroyed when he rolls in, and they're able to go up, you know, +1 and just push really aggressively on to Have Fun.
They were able to be what their name says, push the W button, that's for sure. But now they're in that position where they've got to try and hold that point. They are, of course, a comp that wants to poke at players as they come in, and they take out one of those tanks right at the beginning. Squid, too, finding a backline target as well. Hey, it's George just throwing out the dynamite after this fight is already over, and they are already up to 35%.
Yeah, maybe it's parroted sometimes as a joke, but, you know, people often say Reaper counters tanks, but when you don't see something like a Sigma or a D.Va, just something that can eat damage, he kind of does. He's been pumping out damage, and he's been, more importantly, he's just been a threat. He's stuck with his backline, he's stopped the tanks of Have Fun from diving the backline, and you see Have Fun just say, all right, you want to play double shield? We'll play double shield.
And now they've got to go into a Bob. George has been able to do so much work as a result, too, because of the aggression coming out from the Reaper. Playing on the flank, gets a lot of aggro pointed towards him in that Coalescence, able to stay alive, but the EMP onto the point too much. Zephyr's made the switch over to the Hanzo, too.
Yeah, the Hanzo pick feels interesting in the double shield mirror. You have a lot more damage to break enemy shields, but maybe he's not as strong in the brawl, whereas Dynamite would be very helpful. So it maybe just Have Fun are trying to extend these fights, get poke with Sombra, hacks with Sombra, deal damage to shields with Hanzo, and re-engage when they have that advantage, and Hey George just kind of cut down by himself.
Oh no, that's such a that's a stagger that hurts so much because you didn't die, but you didn't live either because you end up sending yourself off. It's painful.
He says the only one who can kill me is me.
Yeah, that's definitely what he said, and now he's able to get back together with his team, not going over by the edge where you can fall off either. So maybe he has a little bit more success here. Has to avoid the Dragon Strike is the only problem. Crete on the flank already having to use that Mortality Field too. So that important cooldown out. Gravitic Bucks up from Wi-Fi, evening things up here, and Squid able to get one of those tanks out. W Train starting to take control in this fight, force the Sombra away, and get the flip.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal Bull Dragon. Ooh, but an even better lamp came out from Crete just to stop his teammates from dying. They were able to recollect, get together, and push forward onto the point, like, very aggressively. And the Flux, well, it seemed really large, didn't really end up evening it out. And now at 95%, this might be evened up 2-2 here if this EMP isn't too big.
Waiting for that to come out. Jelly Dough has to build up to it first. Bob is going to come out before that can even happen. Has to teleport away, though, is the only problem. Get that health back. Team needs to survive till Jelly Dough can get back. Coming back on the point, throws it out in desperation. Hits 4 or 5 targets with it. And now they've got to just focus them down. The EMP already over. Zeph trying to build up to the play. They've lost on Crete, though. They're losing players left and right. Squid trying to get that final elimination onto the Genji for W Train. dashes away, so that gives up the point anyways, and we are tied up 2-2.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, with the rally, it's such a strong counter to EMP. Jelly-Dough hit a 4-man EMP, and it was great positioning from him, but the rally from Vitamin D3 just kept all of W Train alive. They were able to regroup, use that bongo, force out the off angles of Have Fun, and just really, secure that fight and clean that up.
They go back over to the dive, though, for trying to have fun. This is where we saw them have the most success, was on this downtown map.
Yeah, on downtown here, it felt like they were able to, after taking point, take control of those close high grounds and just, stuff them in their chokes to make sure that W Train couldn't really get out. If Have Fun here are able to replicate what they did the first time, this is gonna be really difficult. But W Train takes a very different rotation this time, so Have Fun is gonna have a harder time diving inside of that mega room.
And able to get the kill right before the Ashe can get into view of the healers too, was Gimme the Fez. So Fez able to do that, gives the early advantage to that diving team, into all of these players that want that to play that anti-dive on W Train. They will get the first take, but they are even because they did lose their Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, and as strong as the dive comp may be, you see that, Have Fun, or W Train were just able to set up inside of that mega room and counter dive that ball so easily. And even as the re-engage comes out from Have Fun, W Train just absorbs it, eats that damage, and pumps it all back into Have Fun. The dive comp is so difficult in these fights where you don't have ultimates.
It really is. It was a very, very odd fight, too, because you have the point. They let the point go, then they come back, and now you have Squid hiding on the high ground, waiting for whatever's going to come back.
Yeah, and you see Have Fun swapping back to the double shield with the McCree and the Ashe here. Looks like they're trying to play a longer fight, maybe not brawl as much as with the Reaper, but they're still running Baptiste and Moira, who, maybe feel they want to go more aggressive sometimes.
They have that flashbang, too, to try and deal with the Reaper if the Reaper gets too aggressive, not playing with the team. But you're already seeing that change. Big Dynamite, though, coming through. Doesn't matter about the fact that you put down the window. Trying to have fun. Going to take this back very quickly.
And you see, all the advantage of having that Ashe and that McCree there really paid dividends for Have Fun. They pumped out damage, they broke shields. Crete was forced to use Lamp very, very early, and because of that, Have Fun were able to push that advantage with their Lamp and really just roll them over in terms of raw damage in frontline.
Raw damage can make all the difference, especially if you have it focused in the right place like they did. W Train, though, coming back into this, working their way through these shields, have the Gravitic Flux, High Noon out, manages to get through and get Vitamin. So already one player down. Wi-Fi holding on and is going to have to continue to hold on to the Gravitic Flux because the coalescence too much from trying to have fun.
Yeah, that didn't feel like a very large investment from Have Fun. Just a High Noon and the Coalescence, both ults that charge very, very quickly. And coming back into this, both teams have a lot of ults here. We might see a Bongo Blossom, where they try to go aggressive on the enemy Sigma and force out his Eat beforehand. Or maybe we'll see a Flux and then just try and break the enemy team as they drop. But W Train going Coast here.
Going Coast, protecting that Supercharger at the beginning. Extremely low is Levi's, though, and they've lost out on the Supercharger already. Squid tries to get in, but it's too little, too late. 77%. We're in last fight territory for Have Fun.
Fluxes come out from both teams, and if you watch here, it's the perfect dichotomy between the Brawl style of this comp and the Spam style of this comp. Creek has the square, and there's just a Blossom and a Rally for W Train. They just need to play long range, get value off of the square, which you see they're getting.
Oh no! They lose out on their Rally too before it can even be finished. Death Blossom in desperation onto the back for W Train, but it does nothing. They're able to eat up all that damage and take care of it, and they are going to win this map trying to have fun. Having fun now, only have to deal with the Ashe and this Lucio coming back, and they will lose out.
A desperate but respectable stall coming out, and really just trying to have fun. We're able to win a lot of the neutral fights without ults, and have some really, strong positioning on their rotations to point, absorb those dives often pretty well. And when they did have to swap to the double shield mirror, they seemed incredibly competent.
Yeah, they played it extremely well. Early on, it felt like they needed to just get in a groove, too, because They got beat pretty bad first map, and then just came back really strong after that. Another super fun series, and I mean, I don't know, Gunther. You might need to just continue to be a caster because it seems like every game you call has to go the distance too.
Yeah, it feels like every single fight has been so back and forth, and even with it, if it is maybe a more one-sided fight,
Yeah.
just when a team drops a lot of ults or gets some early picks, they're re-engaging so quickly that every round, yeah, I said this in the first map, and I'll say it on the first map, and I'll say it again. It feels like every inch is earned. It is, they're digging their hands in the dirt and they're clawing their way to the victory line.
It definitely feels that way, and we still got one more to see if that's going to be the case too. So we're going to catch our breath and see if we get ourselves another full distance control map here in the group stages. So don't go anywhere. We'll have that back here in just a few.